It is also known as the Great War. It's called the Great War because it was the most devastating war of its time. No other war prior to this was as bad as the Great War. We'll talk throughout this unit about the new conditions of battle, with poison gases and in the trenches, a very different style of war that had ever happened before. So you see in this colored map here the countries that are involved in the World War. At the end of the lesson, you will be coloring your own map. So I'm going to go ahead and move through, but you can see that this map here of Europe and the different countries that took place. Now, the causes of World War I, we can remember the causes by a simple acronym or a mnemonic device. The letters we remember are M, A, I, N. What does it spell? Maine. So the causes of World War I, we're going to remember by the phrase Maine. So we can even just think main causes. And that stands for militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. You need to go ahead and write that in your foldable now on the inside flap on the left-hand side. Again, you need to write this in your foldable. M stands for militarism, A for alliances, I for imperialism, and N for nationalism. Alright, so let's try to find out a little bit more about what each of these words mean. Militarism. Militarism is the policy of building up or creating a large army. Sometimes you might be getting ready for a war, or you just know that you want to have a large defense against any other country, or just to know that you're stronger by having a larger military. The goal is to also have better and more weapons. This can be called the arms race. So in your foldable, you need to write policy of building up or creating a large military, and quickly jot down arms race. Now the reason that is important is imagine one country, let's just use the United States, is bordering Canada. And Canada builds up and has so many nuclear weapons, and we don't have a very good relationship with them. Well, you can imagine that the United States would also want nuclear weapons, and they would build up. Well, then Canada would get more, then we would get more than them. And so it keeps going back and forth, and that is called an arms race, where you're racing other countries to see who can get the most arms, or the better arms. I love this cartoon. I think it's hilarious and a really good example of the arms race. The cartoon is called The Law and Order of Arms Races. Here you see the police officer starting here. He starts with a bat. So the criminal starts with a gun. Well, then you got to go back to the cop and he gets the same gun. Well, to one up him or to do better, the robber or the criminal gets a better gun. So now the police officer gets a better gun than him. Not to be outdone, another criminal gets a better gun, and so on and so forth. So the arms race is trying to beat out your enemy, or trying to beat out the next country or the next guy by having better weapons than them. Now this is very dangerous because before the fight would have started with bats, and now it's going to, what is that, a bazooka? So it gets pretty intense pretty fast. On for letter A. A stands for alliances. Alliances is an agreement between two or more countries to help each other out and to defend each other. So even in school, you can have alliances. Let's say a couple of your friends are very close and you kind of maybe don't like a couple other people, your friends and yourself would call each other allies. So you'd say to them, yeah, you're my ally. We're in an alliance. We're going to help each other out and defend each other. Well, countries do the same thing. They can agree to help each other out, and alliances still exist today. And this is a very, very, very important cause of World War I. Make sure you have that down in your foldable. Okay, now on to we already know what imperialism means, but just in case you forgot, imperialism means to try and build up an empire. So you're trying to get more and more land and build up your empire by getting more resources, whatever you need, more people, by having land in more corners of the world. This political cartoon is pretty funny, showing England reaching out to all of these different countries. England was one of the most imperialistic countries. It had land on almost every continent. Okay, and lastly, nationalism. The N in Maine stands for nationalism. Now, nationalism can be a good thing. It's when you're very proud of your country. But extreme nationalism is when you have intense or extreme pride in your country, to the point where you almost think that you're better than other countries or other people. You are willing to defend your country at all costs. So, nationalism, if you think about the Summer Olympics, it's great when people wear their country's colors or wave their flag. That's a positive nationalism. However, a negative nationalism is when it's so extreme that you think your country is better than anyone else's, you'll do anything to defend it, and you'll do anything against anyone who might try to hurt you. So, extreme pride is also dangerous. If you think that you're better than other countries just because you're from Germany or from China or from Argentina, that doesn't make you a better person, and so unfortunately, that can lead to war. So those were the four causes of World War I. Now, let's kind of review them quickly. Imagine how bad this would be. We're looking at a map of Europe here, and look at all these different countries that are so close together. Okay? So imagine you're very close with your neighbors, and so I'm circling around, trying to show you all these different countries. You're very close to your neighbors. And imagine one country says, hey, I have more and better weapons. Well, then now you're going to want better weapons if you border them, because then you might be scared they're going to try to take over you. Now imagine another neighbor might say, hey, let's have a secret alliance. I hear the other countries have a secret alliance, so let's be against them. Well, alliances can be a good thing, but also if you get dragged into things maybe that you want, trying to defend a friend, it's not a good situation for you. Now let's add on to it. Imagine another country says, I want to take over the world. I want to build my empire. Well, now you have to worry about your neighbor trying to take over your country or trying to take over other places, and you don't like the power that they're getting. Now imagine another country is saying, hey, my country is better than yours. You're awful. You're ridiculous. So these attitudes added up together make the situation very tense. If you have a group of people who are this close and they all have these type of feelings, you can imagine that it's going to take just one little spark before it ignites a full-on war. So what is it that is going to ignite this fight? Well, that's for Monday. Sorry to let you down. You